Welcome back to My Next Big Bet, where we say go big or go home in matters investment. And of course, you're tuned in to Brand Plus TV. Today on our industry bet, we focus on opportunities presented by technology in the transport and logistics sector. Before we dive right into it, here is our industry poll of the day. Have you adopted technology for your transport and logistics need? Just to recap that for you, have you adopted any technology for your transport or logistics need? To send in your feedback through the number on your screen or through the hashtag MyNextBigBet. Now, these are two sectors that we have explored before, but it certainly was important to get the true picture from a player in the sector. And finally, I have the pleasure of hosting Vaidehi Tembeka, co-founder and CEO of Boda, together with whom we shall explore the opportunities that technology is creating in this space here in Kenya and of course in the larger East Africa region. Welcome to the studios, Vaidehi.
Thank you for having me, Daniel.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and of course a pleasure to have the CEO of Boda, who is going to give us an insight onto this industry that you are participating in. But before we get into it, let's get to know you a bit better.
Okay.
Well, you got the opportunity to study abroad in one of the most prestigious universities, had an awesome internship in one of the biggest companies, and yet you came back home. Why is this?
Yes, so I have practically lived my whole life in Kenya. So I went to prep school in Peponi, and then I did secondary school in Hillcrest Secondary School, after which I did a chemical engineering degree at the University of Sheffield. And like you rightly said, I had the great opportunity of working for a multinational company, Procter & Gamble, in the UK. And yeah, this was a great experience for me. I was introduced to a lot of new people, and I worked on a wastewater reduction project. So this was in the Gillette plant, which was in the production department. So this is the department where we manufacture Gillette shaving foam and Gillette shaving gel, which I'm sure you're familiar with. So yeah, I was involved in that, and I was initially really skeptical about it because it's, as any other production company, it's quite male-dominated, the department, so I didn't know how I would make a mark. But I realized that as soon as you start kind of contributing and, you know, making an impact, people start taking you seriously. And that's kind of what made my internship there really memorable. So coming back to your question, after such an enjoyable experience, why would I come back home?
Exactly.
And this is because at an event a few years ago, I actually came across a person, and we were just chatting, and he was talking to me about how he used to be a Boda driver initially. And then he told me how he got into a really bad accident. And obviously, like any other person, he just wanted to be compensated. And it took him exactly a year to be compensated. And despite this, he was only compensated only 30% of the value of his motorbike and no medical expenses. So this kind of shook me and took me aback. And that's when my brother and I were discussing this, and we were like, how can we contribute to help the common man using technology? And that's how we came up with Boda, which is now a motorcycle hailing app. It's like Uber, but for Bodas in Nairobi. And yeah, we got it developed when we were both in university. So my brother started the development stage when he was in his first year of university at the University of Bath. He's doing electrical engineering. And like every other project, this one failed initially, and we had a bad experience. We kind of had to scrap the initial app, after which then we decided I'd come back home and then restart the whole process, which is what I did after I graduated last year.
Wow, quite a change from
Yes.
chemical engineering all the way to technology and taxi services, in this case for Boda. Quite a shift. Now, it is barely a year after your graduation, and here you are in a leading company, in a leading technology. What gave you the drive to have that guts? You're so young in this industry, and what gave you the jump? What gave you that thrust to go forward?
I think from a very young age, my brother and I grew up watching my dad build his own business from nothing. So like since then, we were always motivated to kind of go back and start our own thing. And we've watched my father's panel discussions and interviews where he kept saying, like, the three things you need to be an entrepreneur are, like, you need to be passionate, you need to have perseverance and never give up, and also you keep getting what you ask for. So if you look for problems, you're only going to get problems. If you look for solutions, then that's all that's going to keep flowing at you. So these kind of three things and other principles have been etched in my mind from a very young age. And it kind of gave me the confidence to believe that I can do anything, and age is literally just a number.
And here you are now.
Yeah.
Now, you've spoken of the urge to cater to a need or a gap that is being left out there. Now, what are some of the biggest gaps in this sector, especially in transport here in Kenya?
I think one of the biggest issues is that customers have to pay a really high price for obtaining just basic services like deliveries of, say, medicines from one place to the other. A customer has to pay really high prices because we're not able to optimize technology and use it efficiently. For example, if you look at the logistics industry, you have trucks that are frequently going from Mombasa to Kampala.
Yes.
So they take goods from Mombasa to Kampala, and clients pay for this service. But clients have to pay for the return trip, even though on the way back, the trucks come back empty.
Yes.
The trucks come back empty, but a client has to pay double the cost just because he's paying for the two-way trip.
Yes.
But if we were able to optimize this well enough, because there's a large pool of clients that do require the service of goods from Kampala back to, Mombasa. But it's just that this is not being optimized, and the technology is not being used efficiently. And if we can overcome these challenges, then the prices of basic services such as transport and logistics will really decrease and volumes will increase, which is better for the economy.
And would you say that the traditional way of doing things, for example, you have mentioned logistics, I'll hire a truck, or a customer will hire a truck from Mombasa all the way to Kampala. The traditional way of doing things, is it compounding this problem? Is it changing, or is it just compounding the problem and making it bigger?
It is essentially making the problem bigger because you're not able to get efficient solutions. So sometimes you kind of just settle for what there is because you want the truck back, right? So you settle for a solution. If you don't get a client on the way back, then that's that. But with technology and just using a tap of a button to book a delivery back to your intended place, it just kind of, that would then improve the situation. And I think that is what technology is getting to, but at a very slow rate.
Okay. Yeah. Now, when we look at global trends in the transport sector, we see companies coming up with innovations such as self-driving vehicles. We have Elon Musk coming up with automated cars that are intelligent. He recently launched a truck that is self-driving when it comes to logistics and can deliver all these goods from A to B without even needing a driver in it, in his physical presence in the vehicle. Now, when we come back home, you're trying to give localized solutions to our needs here in Kenya.
Right.
Does this limit your growth in terms of reaching out to a large market, unlike these international companies?
I feel like in order to put a product out in the market, you need to be familiar with the market. You need to be familiar with the day-to-day activities of your customers, the kind of challenges they're facing, the problems they face on a daily basis, in order to provide the most effective solution. So being in Kenya, it was easier for me to start off in Kenya in a market that I'm kind of familiar with. And then it's just basically perfecting your business model so you can expand into other markets. So you've seen the bigger giants like Uber. Uber started in the US. It then expanded locally, after which it expanded internationally. Just like Alibaba, which started in China and then expanded. So that is what we're trying to do with Busy Boda. We want to kind of perfect the business model, learn from the challenges that we face here in Kenya, and then replication is kind of a much smoother transition.
Which means you're basically doing your homework before you get out there.
Exactly, yes.
Quite a good hand. Now, on the other hand, how can an innovator such as yourself ensure that your localized solution has some sort of adaptability in other markets? How, as much as you're starting from your home, how can you ensure that this product is also capable of going to places such as Tanzania, such as Uganda? You know, we're having the whole East Africa community enlarging and building our bigger markets.
Okay. So, Technology, okay, so basically the demand is different in different areas, right? And you can adapt to it as long as you have a good business model. So for example, if the demand in Kenya is that businesses are looking for partners to maybe do all their daily errands and, you know, bank checks and other things. Whereas, so we can build a model based on that. Whereas in Tanzania, the demand might be that people want a manpower delivered from one place to the other. So they want to be connected to a plumber or an electrician. So it's basically just using the same model but adapting it to different situations according to different markets. So it's ideally the same thing with a few tweaks according to the requirements of the market.
So the key thing will be to study the actual need in a particular market,
Yes.
but use but sort of use the same model.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Quite interesting. Now, today's development in these sectors has seen a lot of momentum growth in terms of technology. What could be the driving factors behind this technology? Initially, we never used to adopt, let's say, transport hailing apps, and nowadays it's the norm. If you're not into it, you're being left behind.
Yes.
What is causing all these changes? Why are we rushing into it?
I think technology is just taking over the world, isn't it? So everyone wants to
Yes,
kind
indeed.
of keep up and be a part of it. But I think one of the major factors that have kind of made life easier, especially in Kenya, is M-Pesa. M-Pesa has provided such a huge platform for people to carry out multiple transactions. It has not only helped Busy Boda because people pay via M-Pesa, but also other industries such as microfinance and e-commerce.
Yes.
For example, you have in the microfinance industry, you have people who are vetted and their credit history is checked and they're given a loan within 20 to 30 seconds using, you know, microfinance apps.
Yes.
And this technology has really created a major impact on the economy. And that is why I think people want to keep up with other, you know, growing technologies and other apps because they want to be a part of it and they want to make life simpler for them, which is what technology is doing.
And nobody definitely wants to be left out.
Exactly.
No business wants to be
To be
left
left
behind.
out.
We have seen businesses going under or going down or lowering their performances simply because they do not adapt to what is coming in or what is changing in matters technology.
Yes.
Now, various people are involved in this technology, whether it is the private sector, whether it is the customers, whether it is the government through the legislation and other factors.
Yeah.
Now, what should these stakeholders do to keep this momentum growing?
I think the main thing to keep momentum growing is just be open to change and be able to adapt to change and embrace technology as it comes. Had people not embraced technology, had people not embraced services like M-Pesa, today we would still be going to banks to, you know, make small transactions. We would be going up country to send money to our family members. Whereas now it can all be done through mobile money, and it is because people are embracing that change and people are ready to adapt to new technologies. So I think everyone should keep doing that and understand that it's the benefit for the economy and themselves.
Well, some technology has been considered as harmful or has negative effects. Should we adopt all technology that comes our way?
Oh, I mean, this is up to every individual. You need to kind of know how much to adopt a certain technology, whether it benefits you personally or not, and then that's when you can make your decision.
So it's a matter of weighing the pros and cons
Yes.
and what works for you better.
Exactly, yeah.
That's good. Now, as a player in this sector, what are the areas you'd advise innovators to focus on in providing solutions? And let's begin from the consumers and as far as consumers are concerned.
Rather than identifying a specific area, I would say that you just have to kind of study your market and look at areas that are lagging behind or the needs of customers. So what is it that are the pain points of customers? What is it that customers want to improve? And based on that, you can provide solutions. So for instance, like M-Copper did with solar technologies, they identified an issue, the lack of electricity. And then they also identified that people didn't have a large disposable income to pay for it immediately.
Yes.
So they have then put together a solar solution with a pay-as-you-go model. So this caters for a huge problem, and people are embracing this change and people are embracing this product because it caters for all their needs and it's solving their problem. So this is what I think everyone should, any entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs should be looking at, is just trying to solve a major problem and you're successful.
Well, that comes on the end of identifying the customer need and what they prefer or what they need to be more successful in their aspect of life. Let's come back to you, who is the provider of this service, the logistics company. What should the innovators be looking at as far as innovators are concerned? Because they also need to be catered to in order to provide these services.
Yes. So I think the main thing in the transport and logistics sector would kind of be to bring convenience to a customer's doorstep. Right, so today people you have 24-hour pharmacies.
Yes.
But that's a great concept. But people still have to go to the pharmacy and pick up medicine or send their relatives or family friends to pick up medicines for them. How easy and how amazing would it be if we could just have that delivered to you at any time, whether it's 24/7, whatever it is. Anytime, just a tap of a button and you have these goods being delivered to you. So this technology can be adapted in all aspects. It could be medicines, it could be groceries, it could be manpower, it could be anything. So the potential is huge. So I think it's just people in this industry should really take advantage of the untapped market and get into that.
And you're right, it would be nice to have medicine delivered to me, especially at night when it's a bit risky to go out, instead of taking my car and fueling it, which is another extra cost. Might even be more expensive going to the chemist than the actual medicine itself.
Yeah.
So it is a good idea. Now, let's look at the challenges. This is an area that has challenges when it comes to innovation, when it comes to launching these products, when it comes to accessing the market. There are people you're supposed to partner with. What are some of the challenges that you face?
I think the main challenge is that the market dynamics is continuously changing, right? Which is inevitable. So as a logistics company, there might be, you might be in a booming situation where, from Mombasa to Kenya, when goods had to be transferred from Mombasa to Kenya, they would use trucks because trucks was your only option, right? And that time you were in a good period of life. But then the SGR came along, and now everything needs to be transported through train. So now that has really impacted your business negatively. But as an entrepreneur, you kind of just need to know that some changes are inevitable. You need to kind of expect it and then just be innovative in trying to come up with different solutions to then keep your business, sustain your business.
I feel like you're saying a business should be evolving with times.
Yes.
Because everything is changing. Even the technology that you're adapting, it also changes with time. You need your software suppliers to do a bit of changes in the systems and diagnostics to keep up with what's trending, to keep up with what's new.
Yes.
So the main thing will be to evolve, keep up with what's running.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the regulatory environment that you work within, now this is the legislation, the rules, the law that we have to follow. How comfortable has it been? How enabling has it been for your business and for new entrants to start up?
I think once you're starting as a business, some of these regulations might come across as a hindrance or an added cost, or, for examples in the truck industry again. It's mandatory for trucks to have speed governors, right? So as you're coming into that industry, you don't want to spend that extra money on something that you might not think is necessary at that point. But that is obviously better and more beneficial in the long term, as opposed to paying for damages caused by an accident because of overspeeding. So some of these regulations, I think in the end, they're beneficial in the long run. So no matter what the short-term kind of vision is, in the long run, it's for the benefit of the company and the economy.
Would you say there are some fundamental challenges when getting into the market when it comes to finance and funding?
Yes, definitely. But I think Kenya is improving a lot on startup funding. We have a lot of incubators and accelerators that give new startup owners of startups to kind of give them the chance to network with investors who might be interested to invest in their companies. So I think this is definitely a growing sector, and Kenya is, pushing startup funding a lot more than it was a few years ago.
How easy or how hard is it to network to get these people on board to your products or to support your cause?
It depends on how much you put yourself out there and the kind of opportunities that you get involved in. So if you're a part of a lot of startup programs and meetups, and that's when you get to network with other startups and other investors, and it becomes a lot easier to kind of exchange numbers, maybe get advice from investors who will then potentially invest in your business a few years later once they know your business has kind of reached where it has. But now you're kind of opening your doors to investors, which is a good thing. And it is becoming easier over the years.
It is becoming easier. Now, there are people who would be interested to join or to get into the startup business in terms of technology and providing solutions. What are some of the changes you'd want to see done, whether it be by government or other policy key stakeholders in government and at the private sector do in order to make this environment much more friendly for people who want to get into this business?
Right. Okay, so talking from a busy Boda perspective, there's been a recent restriction that Boda riders are not allowed to go into the CBD.
Yes, that has been very common of late, and there has been a lot of running up and down between them. And
so this is a bit of a challenge because CBD was where they earned most of their income from. Boda riders earn most of their income from CBDs. Now they're banned from CBDs, and now they're banned from the CBD, and on top of that, there's increased fuel prices. So this is kind of all of it kind of adds up and takes away from their income. So I feel like some of these restrictions hinder the growth of individuals as well as the economy. So even if they are implemented, then there should be alternatives or other solutions to try and make the lives of these people easier, which is something that we are trying to do as Busy Boda, working on different innovative solutions to try and make lives for Boda riders easier. But yes.
Well, sticking on that, I'll take you off topic a bit. Well, Bodas have been accused, some of them rather, which I believe is a small majority, of being involved in some not so good acts in terms of some element of crime. And maybe this is something they were trying to elevate for the city. Are they providing a platform for dialogue to solve some of these issues?
Yes, they are, because we've got the BAK, which is the Boda Safety Association of Kenya, which acts as the main sort of body for Boda riders. So it speaks on behalf of the Boda riders. So there are SACCOs and there are bodies like this that that kind of ensure dialogue between the right personnel in the government and the Boda community. So, but there needs to be an increase in the kind of the number of bodies that we have advocating for different types of people in the industry.
So there needs to be more empowerment on the part of the drivers and other stakeholders who are involved, so that maybe a more long-lasting solution and a better solution for all the stakeholders involved is found.
Definitely, yeah.
Now, as we close our discussion, let's demystify this giant, which is technology. Why should everybody be involved in technology?
Simply said, because technology is running the world today. Everything runs on technology. For instance, take Busy Boda, right? Through technology, we are able to increase the riders' incomes, right? Crime and criminal activities has decreased because people are being employed due to technology. So if I have developed this app for Boda riders, that means hopefully more Boda riders will come on our platform, earn more, right? And this then creates jobs in different sectors. For example, that means we need more motorcycle garages, or we need more mechanics for motorcycles, or there's more financial institutions that provide loans for motorcycles. So this is all through the use of technology. So technology is basically improving the economy, and if that's what you want, then you need to be involved in technology.
Quite
really.
indeed, a big point there by in that technology is creating a wider network of more jobs, of more revenue sources, and as you said, reducing insecurity as more people will be employed, hence they don't need to do illegal activities. Now, technology seems to be age-bound. Is it a preserve for only the young people? Seeing yourself, you're young, you're the one investing in this particular technology. Is it only for the young people, or the old people can also, you know, have a say in it too?
I think over the years, technology has become so simple to use and so user-friendly that it's not age-bound anymore. The only thing coming between a person using technology efficiently is the right mindset, I feel. If you have the right mindset, then a person who's 60 years old will be able to use technology just as well as someone who's 10 or 11 years old. That's how easy things have become to use lately. Yeah.
So the old folk out there, in case you're interested in technology, it is now user-friendly and something that you cannot be left out behind. Now, your final word to players in the industry, innovators and investors and potential investors who would want to join, you know, the technological space as far as transport and logistics is concerned.
Like I said earlier, there's a huge potential in this industry, a massive untapped market. So I think if anyone is planning to invest or get into the technology industry, then now is really the time. Into the transport and logistics industry, then now is the best time to do it, especially because our economy is growing at the rate of 5 to 6%, and people are really embracing change in the transport and logistics sector as well. So this would be the perfect time.
It would be the opportunity time to get a bigger piece of the part of the pie in terms of the logistics area. Now, where do you see technology in Kenya going forward? What's your prediction for this sector?
For this sector? Yeah, I feel like the transport and logistics sector is really the backbone of every other major sector in the industry. For example, manufacturing, service industries, or even travel and tour industries. So the potential is endless, really.
It's unfathomable. It's that huge.
Yes.
Okay, well, this has been an interesting conversation with Boda Hitembakar, giving us an insight of how technology is changing the transport sector. And as Rachel joins us in set to give us her opinion on the same, are you a user of technology when it comes to movement yourself?
Yes, definitely. More of taxi hailing apps. I'm not quite into the Bodas for now, but I might change my mind soon.
Well, we do thank you for giving us this information and giving us a deeper insight into how the industry is unfolding. Hope to have you again in the future when the industry has burst out of its margins and when your company has gone international.
Yes, I'd love to be back. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right. Well, that's it from us on My Next Big Bet. In case you missed the Swift probe, I would simply like a recap of the same. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. For now, stay tuned for Motivate, where today we play you some Afro jazz, which will certainly ease you into the weekend.
Now, be sure to join us on Monday and remember to keep it same place, same time. But until then, do put your money where your mouth is.